Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals 2017 season review based on analytics. And this is, again, another new kind of video I'm throwing out there, giving a general view of how a team performs, statistically speaking, based on team statistics, giving you some ideas about where they can improve, and just a general overview of how they look like historically speaking as well. How bad was this team or how good this team was compared to every other team, and just giving you some general thoughts and ideas on how to get better, because that's the big thing. I don't want to just make a video telling you why this team is so bad and all that kind of stuff, even though that's really fun and I like to see the comments when it comes to that. What I really want to do is I just want to give you some ideas about, okay, these are the areas where your team was not where it needs to be, and this is where you need to be, and this is how you get there. So hopefully that shines in this video the most, is that I'm just trying to show you where you are, where you need to be, and give you some ideas about how to get there. Because if you can get there, you, statistically speaking, will improve your ability to win football games, which is what everybody wants to do. Everybody wants to win football games. I don't like to see teams lose either, so this is definitely going to be sort of a general overview of the strengths and weaknesses of the Bengals and stuff like that. Now, if you're new to the channel and you don't know what I'm talking about and you don't know any of the data points I'm going to be discussing, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So, again, if there's anything I talk about that you just don't know, a lot of times I'll kind of go into detail on things where I think there should be some detail. But again, if you are just woefully, you have no idea what's going on, terms and definitions are in the description. You can check that out and, educate yourself a bit in terms of those different kinds of points. So now let's get to this review. So looking at the Bengals in terms of the 2017 season data review, for the most part, the Bengals were below average in a lot of different areas and above average in some areas as well. So there definitely were some positives to this Bengals team, but there also was a ton of negatives. So I guess we'll start with the positives. Firstly, your total D score, which is the ability to prevent first downs on defense, was actually above average. Your turnover ratio on offense, which is basically the how often you turn the football over. The less you turn the football over, the higher the score is. You actually had an above average turnover percentage, so you didn't turn the football over as much as other teams did since 1998, which is a good sign. You also had a pretty above average sack percentage, so you're able to create sacks pretty much above average compared to pretty much every team since 1998. You also had a pretty decent field goal percentage and a pretty good punting average. So there were some positives to this Bengals team. It wasn't all just horrible things. There were some good things. Now we get into some of the negatives. First off, big negative, total O score. The total O score is the ability to create first downs on offense, and the Bengals were just non-existent when it comes to that particular area. Then, of course, you have the total O/D score, which was below average as well, partly because of how bad the O score was. So I think if you just get better on offense, this will definitely raise the total O/D score. Then on top of that, you look at the offensive data. You were below average in terms of sack percentage, so you allowed too many sacks. Offensive score percentage was also below average. Defensive offensive score percentage was below average. Turnover ratio was really low. Didn't create a lot of turnovers on defense. Didn't create a lot of interceptions on defense. So definitely a lot of areas that you could have improved upon on defense in many ways. So, and it's also arguable that the offense may have been a little bit better than the defense in some, in terms of just, preventing turnovers is a big deal, but the inability to create turnovers on defense is also a pretty big deal as well. So there definitely is some arguability there about what's better, the offense or the defense, based on data. Then, of course, you look at special teams. Punt return yardage, not that great. Kick return yardage, meh. Defensive punt return yardage, defensive kick return yardage, also meh. Extra point percentage, meh. And of course, the overall overall team score for the team is 9.13 out of 100, which of course is very meh. So very meh overall in terms of a lot of different data points, as you can clearly see. So definitely kind of overall. But there were some positives. Again, I mentioned the positives. There are some things where where things went well, but not everything went well as it needs to be. Now, when we get to how the team performed versus every Bengals team since 1998. So this is all the points I just said, and it also shows you how every team since 1998 performed in terms of all these data points. And as you can clearly see, the Bengals have had a bit of a roller coaster of stuff. 2015, probably the best season the Bengals have ever had when it comes to statistics was 2015, and then 2016 drop, and then 2017 meh. So for the most part, 2017 was definitely not that great of a year. They got pretty much got worse compared to what they were at 2015, kind of a downward spiral, and a lot of it happened on offense too. But yeah, definitely something to kind of worry about going forward is the offense, because the offense was able to put points on the board in 2016. Was able to put points on the board on 2015 especially, but this was one of those years where, the 2017 Bengals pretty much regressed to what the 2008 Bengals were in terms of offensive score percentage. That's how bad it was in terms of putting points on the board. So definitely a very concerning thing going forward. In terms of how bad this Bengals team was compared to every Bengals team since 1998, the Bengals were the fourth worst team since 1998 based on the overall data score, again, compared to everything else. So definitely a historically bad football team, but not the worst, but definitely historically bad. And then, of course, when you look at areas where they need to improve. So what this chart shows you is it shows you the average score of 12 to 16 win teams, 9 to 11 or more win teams, 8 wins or more, and 7 wins or less based on, data. So again, essentially what this is showing you is this is where you should be. If you're a team that wants to be 12 to 16 wins, you should be averaging or be in that ballpark of that data point is what this basically does. So this should just give you an idea of this is where you are, this is where you need to be. Firstly, total O score definitely needs to improve. You have to get better in terms of creating first downs as offense. And so far, you are in the 7 win or less area. So that's definitely an area where you need to improve. The total D score could also use some improvement because the total D score is in the 8 win to between the 8 win or more and 9 and 11 win or more area. And that definitely could get bumped up into the 12 to 16 win area. The total O/D score will go up if the offense gets better. Turnover ratio, I think, could definitely improve as well. If the turnover ratio goes up into the 73 range or whatever, they definitely could get the 9 to 11, 12 to 16 win range. Sack percentage, another big thing. The ability to prevent sacks is a big part of what makes 12 to 16 win teams, 9 to 11 win teams what they are. And, 33.54 is definitely in the 7 win or less area. Offensive score percentage, very, very low. 7 win or less area. So they need to get into the 60s, 70s, 80s if they want to get into winning more football games. They have to be able to put points on the board. Defensive offensive score percentage as well needs to get into the 60s and 70s area if they want to win a lot more games. Turnover ratio, that area when you look at the data, in terms of defensive turnover ratio, they have to get into the 60s to 70 range, especially. Sack percentage is prerequisite. So I would say when it comes to sacks, they're at the prerequisite. They don't really need to improve. They definitely can improve. Don't get me wrong. You always want to try to improve sack percentage. But the prerequisite for 12 to 16 win teams, etc., you're pretty much are where you need to be when it comes to that data point. So definitely not, I wouldn't say that should be a big point of emphasis. As much as getting, guys who can turn the football over and stuff like that. And then special teams wise, field goal percentage was pretty good. So not a lot of things improved there. Extra point percentage could use some improvement. And all, of course, could use some improvement. And all will go up if you improve in all the areas I just mentioned. If you improve in terms of offensive score percentage and defensive offensive score percentage and all those other areas, then all will go up. And if you get into the 70 to 80 range, you will win more football games. If you are able to do that. So those are all the areas where the Bengals need to improve. Like, these are the points of emphasis. If you improve these areas, you're more likely to win more football games. And then lastly, well, not lastly yet, but this is at least other sort of data points. You can pause the video right now and look at all these other data points. But the biggest things I wanted to pay attention to is completion percentage data and first down conversion rate with the pass data. Big areas where the offense really declined. You can see it in the data. Like, you can see it clearly. First down completion percentage, second down completion percentage, third down completion percentage, and fourth down completion percentage. The Bengals went from having a very, very high first down, second down, third down, fourth down, first down, second down, third down, fourth down, to first, above average first down, but kind of below average second down, below average third down, and below average fourth down. So the completion percentage of the Bengals has really taken a big back seat, and that could explain a lot of the offensive score percentage woes, is that for whatever reason the completion percentage took a huge dip, and as a result you're seeing kind of the ramifications of that. So I definitely would say that's a big kind of thing to think about, is how much the offense has regressed, especially when it comes to completion percentage data. And then, of course, when you look at first down conversion rate, the first down area was decent, but second down and third down, just bad. Really, really bad, really, really poor. Andy Dalton has never really been, amazing when it comes to first down conversion rate with the pass or second down even, except for certain seasons. But this definitely was a year where second down and third down was just really, really poor. So those two areas especially need to improve if they want to, have more success in the future, because definitely kind of big areas to kind of worry about there. But lastly, last part, team needs based on data. So these are what you need to be looking for in free agency. These are also things you need to be looking for when it comes to the draft. And these are also just general guide points, or these are just general points of emphasis, things to think about in the offseason. So we can debate some of these things, but I'm just telling you that this is how the guys performed this year, and because they performed that way, you should be thinking about getting another, guy. So there's definitely going to be some people who might go, well, Andy Dalton could get better or whatever, but I'm just saying that based on data, he was bad this year, and, getting a better quarterback could be a solution to the issue, is all I'm trying to say. So, team needs. First off, offensive playmakers. Big thing. When your offensive score percentage is that low, it's indicative of a poor quarterback, of course, but also indicative of a lack of playmakers. If you don't have a lot of playmakers on offense, you're not going to put up a lot of points. So, definitely an area where you need to get more things, offensive playmakers. Quarterback, as I already showed you with the quarterback data, completion percentage wise and first down conversion, first down, second down and third down conversion rate wise. Andy Dalton has just really regressed really, really hard. So either he gets better, either you put more offensive playmakers around him and he gets better, which is definitely a possibility, or you don't and you just move on, you get a new quarterback. Either one of those areas could be a solution, but I'm just suggesting that quarterback play is definitely something that needs to be increased. Offensive lineman, your sack percentage, very, very, very low. So, which is something that you lost a lot of offensive linemen, so it shouldn't be that surprising, because you did lose a lot of offensive linemen last offseason. So, but offensive linemen definitely a big need to consider going forward, just because of how poor the sack percentage was. And maybe offensive linemen also had to do with the quarterback play. Maybe offensive linemen also had to do with the lack of offensive score. Like it could have been kind of a domino effect. But offensive lineman is definitely another big thing to consider when it comes to free agency and the draft, because of how poor that sack percentage was. And then lastly, defensive playmakers, specifically linebacker, cornerback, and safety, to create turnovers. Sack percentage, you have the prerequisite amount of sacks. You could get better, don't get me wrong, but you have the prerequisite when it comes to winning football games. The area that you really need to look at is getting defensive players that can create turnovers, that can create interceptions, all that kind of stuff. So again, those are the big points of emphasis. Those are the big things to consider here. Defensive playmakers, linebacker, cornerback, safety. Get guys that can create turnovers, and you will win more football games if you do that. So that's another big kind of point of emphasis to consider here when it comes to the data and all the other sort of points here. Again, overall, let me know in the comment section below, what are your general thoughts on the Bengals for 2018 in terms of free agency or the draft? Where are areas where you think they need to improve upon? And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. Hit that notification button so that you're always reminded when another video of mine drops. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.